Hello, Ahmed. Welcome. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to our workshop organized by UTAS English Society. Hello, Yusuf. He is one of our graduates. Welcome back. We are so happy to see you here. We are very happy to have you all, and we welcome you to this workshop. And we thank all the contributions to extracurricular activities, and we highly appreciate Dr. Yaqoob's effort and contribution to the activities. Dr. Yaqoob, I'm not going to waste your time because it's only 1 hour, and then the students maybe will have other commitments or engagements. We also thank our colleagues from other colleges and universities. We miss all our graduates as well. They are sending us messages now on the chat box. We are very happy to have you here. Dr. Yaqoob, the floor is yours. Go ahead, Dr. Yaqoob.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rahma. Thank you very much. Well, as Dr. Rahma said, it's like, it's like sort of contribution from everyone, even the students, So today's workshop, inshallah, is going to be like having an insight about, the implementation of structured interviews, in your research. So that's more or less going to be. I'm going to give you like general view and some practical, terms that you can use. If you've got any question, you can ask me immediately. I can clarify things, or I just can go in depth if you are, interested. So it's more or less, it's conducting and analyzing semi-structured interviews. Today's workshop, inshallah, we are going to, to answer this question, what is meant by interview in general and in research, very quickly, because we cannot just go into, structured interview without knowing the interview itself. What does it mean? Why do we need to conduct interviews? What sort of data is collected? Types of interviews? How to build semi-structured interviews? How to conduct semi-structured interviews, how to analyze them, and how to report them in your manuscript, in your text. Interviews. Well, interviews as a concept involves interaction between two or more people with a purpose. Here, interaction between the interactor or the speaker and interlocutor, and there must be a purpose for this, for this, a conversation, whatever purpose is, maybe the formal or informal, so name it. Interviews in research is an instrument that is used to investigate a deep understanding about a phenomenon, about an idea, about an issue. So here you want to find out more in-depth data rather than numeric data, rather than, you say how many, if you are surveying, your study, or if you are using questionnaire, more or less you are concerned with the number of participants who agreed or who disagreed, etc. However, interview is more in depth, so you need more information about how, about what is in in that phenomena. So it's the participants' point of view. It's the participants. Sorry, it's the participant point of view of that research topic. What do they say in a very subjective way? So this is your your chance as a researcher to discover, to find out your participant point of view about and perceptions about the discussed about the research phenomena. It is used in the qualitative research design, basically and normally. I'm not saying you cannot use it in quantitative, but it looks odd to use it in quantitative but more or less you cannot ask yes, no answers, you know, in quantitative here, because you are digging in depth. So it is more into the qualitative research. If we wish to talk about types of interviews, we've got structured, we've got semi-structured, and we've got unstructured or free interviews. Definitely, how you are going to conduct these, you know, interviews with. It might be individual interview or group, like focus group discussion interview, or you can just say some researcher they call other type of, you know, of format of interview, like elite interviews. If you are interviewing like ministers, like, you know, big shots in the country. So these are sort of, you know, of forms of interviews, but mainly structured, semi-structured, and unstructured or free interviews. Semi-structures in particular interviews are more open. So here open, the researcher is discussing things with the participants in a very open, you know, ended questions for clarification. For example, if you are, you know, researching something about, let's say, motivation here, and you want to find out, you know, the participant perceptions of motivation, either students or teachers, you know. So you want to find out more about, let's say, for example, teachers' usage of warm-up, you know, as an opening to the lesson and provoking the learners, you know, motivation here. So more or less asking the, you know, the interviewees open questions. What do you think of warm-up, for example? Here, the warm-up will be, you know, demonstrated by the participants, or maybe discussed in group discussion. So here, the point is what is meant by warm-up from your own point of view. So here, the interviewees will start to talk, to discuss things together in front of the interviewer. So researchers have some control over what is covered. The control here is more or less of the discuss point. So again, the questions are asked by the interviewer, by the researcher, and that's sort of controlling it a bit, you know. It's not that much like free. It is controlled by time. So there is a time limit when to start and when to finish. And this sort of control is a bit limited, not that much, you know, open, free, or more, I suggest. There is a flexibility for participants to introduce issues that may not considered by researchers. And here will help both the researcher and, you know, one of the good benefit of and advantages of semi-structured interview is, you know, is more elaboration about, you know, the discuss point. Sometimes the researcher is learning from that for potential, you know, amendment of questions, amendment of things, or you know, elaboration in that research. Flexibility for participants to introduce issues as well. You know, maybe they want to add something that, you know, you haven't encountered yourself in your research design as a researcher. As I said before, you can interrupt me. You can just, you know, ask question if you wish at any point. So why interviews in general? Flexibility and adaptability of collecting information from the participant. When we say flexibility, it's, you know, upon the researchers and participant agreement of time. Maybe it's not, you know, suitable for them at that point maybe it's not suitable for you, so they can both agree on a specific timing. That's very flexible. Adaptability here, again, more, more elaboration, if required, it can be, can be given to the to the participants. Adaptability, maybe, the researcher wants to give more clarification, more explanation about the discussed, or research topic. The ability to modify the asked questions to collect valid data. And here, Fowler means that, the ability to modify, sometimes if you are conducting the first-hand interviews, let's say the first, the second, and you as a researcher have noticed that they haven't understood this point. So this is an indication to go back and, modify your questions, modify your, discuss point, and to get it more understood by your participant. If you think that there is difficult question cannot be answered, again, you can adapt it and you can change it to a more understandable, manner. Dr. Rahma, I've got a note here. They said they don't see me and they cannot hear me. Some of the participants.
No, I can see you and I can hear you. I don't know if that is a problem with that specific person. Is it with all students?
I don't know, because I'm receiving messages saying that, we cannot hear you, we cannot see you.
Let them enter again. They might need consent if they are not from UTAS.
Okay.
I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay.
No. I mean, we are receiving now messages in the chat box like these.
Okay.
So, Doctor, I think they might be from outside UTAS.
Yes, maybe.
Yes, if they are, I'm happy to give them consent. Let them enter again now.
Okay, I have already informed them about this.
No worries, Doctor. It's okay.
Okay. So here, the ability to modify the asked question, as I said before, here, in order to collect valid data, when we say valid data here, we don't mean validity in terms of validity in qualitative, but the trustworthiness here, trustworthy data that you can trust, you can use in your outcomes, in your findings. The researcher presence, the researcher presence may enable them to interpret the participants' non-verbal cues. Here, sometimes, the facial expression, the non-verbal cues can help the interviewer to, to understand what do they mean by saying things. Sometimes it's not necessarily to, articulate, to say things. Sometimes, participants are saying and trying to find more non-verbal, cues to get the message across. So the presence of the researcher will help to understand such, non-verbal cues. Now, the process of designing semi-structured interviews. Sorry. Bullet points should be prepared before conducting the interview. Here, you don't need, because they are semi-structured, you don't have like, a verbatim, word-by-word questions prepared in advance you need to ask. No. But it depends, on the situation, on whatever, Doctor, they say they cannot get in. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry.
No worries, doctor. Don't worry. We will handle that maybe after the workshop. I don't think we can do anything about it now.
Right. Bullet points should be prepared before conducting the interview. Here, when I say semi-structured interview, it is semi-structured. Within the question, you know, questions cannot be prepared word by word, like verbatimly, you know, and you are going to ask these questions literally to your participants. No, you need to take some points. You know, for example, if we say like, what do you understand by, you know, warm up, let's say. So here, understanding warm up, that's sort of bullet points. So a question can be asked, you know, to the participant. You know, for example, if you are taking different participants, triangulating the data, the source of data here, you may just, I mean, ask, you know, supervisors, ask teachers in schools. So it's sometimes different, you know, to elaborate sort of questions to, you know, sometimes you got, you know, non-experienced teachers, sometimes you got very experienced teachers, and I don't know. So once you just prepare these bullet points, you can adjust your question beforehand. These points are designed based on, and this is again, it is not like, you know, obligatory, it is not like mandate, but from my point of view, let's say the literature review, here you need to go through the literature to, you know, to enrich yourself, to get more insight about the discussed issue. For example, if you are saying you are discussing motivation, so you need to go and read about motivation, you read about types of motivation, tasks used in motivation, etc. Here, whenever you go to the participant, here because you are asking teachers, let's say, teachers are, you know, educated people, so they know about motivation. So now, here the point you need to digest, you know, your topic very well, what exactly you need to know from your participant more precisely, that will be very helpful. So some points are predicated, are designed based on the literature review. Some of the point from your research questions. What is it you want to find out from your participant? And these are the sub-research questions you are setting from the beginning, from your research agenda. What exactly you want to find out? So literature review, research questions, and researcher's experience as well. So your own background about that topic. And here, you know, you want to, sorry, you want to design some points that are tackling your research, and you make sure that you are going to, you know, to collect sufficient data, required data for your research. Make sure that the points will cover all what you need to know about the research issue. And here, making sure sometimes you may, I will just talk about it in a minute, you know, you may want to pilot these points, you know, semi-structured interview with some of your participants before the actual data collection process. And here it is really, you know, enriching, it is really helping the researcher to modify the points, to modify the question, to modify what sort of discussion is going on within that context of data collection. It is recommended to review the literature before conducting, as I said, to cover everything concerning the investigated topic. Everything you may just want to, you know, to discuss with your participant. So here, why do I need to digest? Sometimes, you know, because you go there, you don't want to go to the, you know, to the interview, to the field, and you feel that some of your participants may take the lead of the, you know, of the interview itself here. When I say taking the lead, that's dominating your interview. You never tell. So here, for example, sorry, researcher, I guess you meant by saying this, and that, because they've got more point of view about it. And in particular, if you are, you know, if you are interviewing, let's say, professors at universities, they are more knowledgeable maybe into your own topic. It is not bad though, but yourself, as far as you have already digested, covered everything about your topic, that would be much better. Here I can give you an example. How are the learners in a certain context motivated in the language classroom, for example? Here, in your literature review, in reviewing the literature and you're reading, you need to know, what does motivation mean in your context? You need to know motivation in the language classroom. You need to know, how can this language be implemented into the language classroom, or how can the learners be provoked, their motivation be sustained, which activities can be used. And you can read the theories, like for example, Krashan's theory, the filter theory. You can just use different theories if they're available. Whatever is there, you need to digest types of motivation, etc. So here you are going to prepare these points based on your reading, based on your research question. Even your research question can be modified, can be rectified whenever you are going to read, through the literature and find out more about your topic. So here again, the research questions will help you to, to form your instrument, which is here in this case, semi-structured interview. Before you conduct the interview, definitely after digesting your own, topic, whatever you are going to find out, everything about it, so you need to consider, make sure that you go through the ethical committee approval. If you are a postgraduate student, you need to make sure that you've gained the, the gatekeeper permission, to get into that site you are going to conduct your research, to talk to your participant for ethical considerations. Make sure that you are ready to gather sufficient required information. As I said before, you need to pilot the interviews. Take these bullet points, go to the field, or before going to the field, you may conduct it with someone that a colleague or whatever, and find out, are you going to gather required information? Will be anything, missing? So that's a good chance for you to reflect on your, your instrument and find out your ways to, to rectify whatever you need to develop. Make sure to take 2 sets of recording devices with you, just in case. So here, because you are going to, interview people, so you need to make sure that you have got, reliable devices that you can record your interviews. Because sometimes, researchers, they can take notes. It doesn't look that much professional. Someone is talking to you and you are taking notes. Again, I'm not saying it is not good, but from my point of view, if you wish to gather, sufficient data, and your interlocutor, your participant will talk to you, and will never feel offended sometimes that they are talking to you and you are not paying attention. So it's better for you to, to take instruments like, devices, recording devices, and do not hide these devices. Definitely you are going, and I will talk about this inshallah in a minute. Avoid leading, bias, and teasing questions. Here sometimes, because you've got your own research agenda, your own research, objectives, and you want, I'm not saying you, I'm saying some of the researcher, and they want to get that particular answers, So they are asking very leading questions that they can get that particular answer. Again, this is not, ethically is not good. The same as bias question. Sometimes very teasing question. You offend not you, I mean the researcher offending, the participant that they don't know about a particular thing. You don't know, you are a teacher and you never been encountered this. How come? So this sort of thing, believe me, these participants will never be cooperative with you anymore. So you are not going, they may, finish up the slot of time provided for the interview, but believe me, not sort of valid and, reliable answers you may get from them. Consideration while conducting interviews. When I say avoid leading beforehand, before you go there, so these sort of questions are, in your mind, So make sure that you are not asking such questions, that lead your participant to answer, to a particular answer that you are controlling them, you are imposing them to answer whatever you want to get data from them. Make everything clear to your participant about your research. What is your research? Why are you conducting this research? Who is going to benefit from this research? Why, sorry, why are we involved in this research? Why? Why us? Why not different, participants? What are we going to gain from this? Will our data information, the given information, be exposed to others? How are you going to use this, etc.? Make it very transparent, very clear about your research, and their participation, is very, very, voluntarily, rather than imposed, rather than, mandate. Make sure that they agree to record them. You don't need to go and hide the recording in your pocket and, start interviewing. No, they need to know that they are recorded in this interview, and why this recording is for you tell them, make it very clear, for the research purpose. Make sure to place the recording device in an appropriate place, and this sort of practicality, is very important, because sometimes you place the recording device in not good place, and sometimes you will never record anything from that interview, which doesn't look that much professional if you go back and ask your participant, can I interview again? Can I interview you again? And this sort of thing, So here, conducting consideration after the interview, instantly transcribe your interview. And how can you transcribe your interview? Verbatim is very important here, because you don't know yet what sort of information you may need. So here I do advise, researcher to go and, and transcribe word by word. So you listen and you transcribe immediately after that interview. Why? Because you need to digest your data while you are transcribing, and then you develop these interviews for future reference, for future interviews. Try to to be very systematic and organized, because if you leave 2, 3, 4, 5 interviews, believe me, each interview, if you are a very good typer, it lasts maybe 8, 9 hours, sometimes maybe 10 hours. There are some, some softwares nowadays, some software, they are, providing typing, and I don't know how accurate these. If they are very accurate, so you are lucky, and you can just, insert the recording and get it transcribed, whatever the case. So when I say every time, instantly, you need to digest, you need to understand your data more. Sometimes you get some other researcher, they are only transcribing the most important thing like chunks, not everything. So again, it depends. Again, there is no right or wrong answer. When I say you need to do verbatim word by word, you may just need this, inshallah, in your research. If you don't need, that's fine. That's that. Analyzing your interviews. Now you've got the interviews ready, you know. These interviews are with you. Maybe let's say 20, maybe 30, maybe 5, maybe it depends on your research. So here sometimes people, I myself use MVivo. I ask, you know, my colleagues, the researcher, they told me that MAZQDA, this software, I haven't used it myself, but you know, I need to say because other researchers are doing it. And this is like you can use it not only in English, even in Arabic. And the other one is Atlas 8, and I'm not familiar with that. What is I am familiar with, these software, you know, are helping you to organize your data. Just organize your data. For example, you've got interview number 1, interview number 2. You insert that transcript into the software. You insert the other one, you insert the other one, then you insert. What is, you know, the role of the software is getting things organized for you. For example, you want to analyze, and what sort of analysis, you look at the question, what exactly you are looking for in terms of motivation. For example, if you say, for example, what do they say about, you know, external motivation? Is external motivation, you know, mentioned a lot there? Here, sometimes it is like we call it data-driven analysis. You look at the data in the interviews and you see the repeated words. So how many, this word is repeated, let's say, for example, 100 times. So that's the role of the software. And you say, wow, 100 times is repeated this word. So it does give you a clue that it can be a very good code for you, you know. And you can see the others, the most, you know, common words used there, the minor, etc. So you are using, again, your analysis is, one is your research question driven, what exactly you want to find out from them. Your data driven, repeated words, you know, what is interesting there. Most of them, they have said this, etc. I'm sorry. So it organizes your data rather than doing the, you know, doing the analysis like quantitative, you know, quantitative approach or quantitative data. Sometimes if you've got a small amount of you know, of data, like you've got 2 interviews, 3 interviews, like a short scale research, you know, here you can analyze them manually. You just put them there, you know, in front of you and look at the repeated words, look at the research question, find out. So here, there is no right wrong answer to, you know, to analyze, but more or less we analyze, you know, qualitative data using the codes, and these codes later on, they are clustered to form themes. And these themes are mainly 4, 5 themes, maybe 10 themes. Then these themes are, you know, shrinked into like 3, 4 themes. And normally these themes are your discussion, in your discussion. Here, coding either to combine all passages about the phenomena, idea, explanation, activity. Here, for example, how do you perceive warm-up? What do you understand when you say warm-up? So here, let's say, in this interview, what did they say within this participant with that? So this, like, you know, concept-driven, as I said. from the data itself, or produce a list of codes that can be used to identify the relationship between codes, again, data-driven or from the research question or from the research questions, sometimes from the literature review. So all these codes are, you may get like maybe 100 codes. In one of the research I conduct, it was like 60 codes. And it was too many. I said, too many codes. How can I manage? How can I control them? But later on you will think about these codes that can be clustered, can be put in one theme, like thematic, analysis. So themes, these are driven from your research question and can combine the codes under each theme. And mostly when I said from your research question here, it can be the discussion of your research, and that sort of discussion as indirectly you are answering your research questions. Sometimes you end up like themes from the literature as well, maybe as I said, 10 themes. So you may want to reduce these themes into more, more restricted into 2, 3, or 4 themes. Now you want to report the interview. So here in your discussion, now you've got the codes are done, are clustered into themes based on the research question. Now you want to discuss. You need to, take some chunk, extract some chunk from your transcript as you are quoting from a book and saying that, put them literally with mistakes, with whatever, in your text, in your discussion. And here, for example, if you want to discuss, let's say, what their perception of what do they understand about the warm-up, you said, here in your discussion, definitely in your literature review, you have discussed what is meant by, by warm-up from different researchers' point of view. Now you are going to say that, most of my participants have, interpreted warm-up as, and you give whatever you have found. And here, if you've got extreme, let's say most of them, you find them, definitely we are not quantifying. We are not quantifying them 90%, 80%. But if you notice the majority of them, they have, interpreted this way. So it's a good indication that you are with the literature or you are against the literature, So here, maybe you are going to produce your own, your own definition of the warm-up. I'm only giving example. By the end of your research, one of your contribution may be defining an element that you are discussing in your in your research. You are not supposed to quantify, as I said, your participant. Like for example, in quantitative, research, mostly we say 90%, 80%, the vast majority. Sometimes you said. So here the the extreme figure you can find from the you can find from that from your data. So extreme. Here you can find, if you feel that most of your participants have indicated something and you need to say it, you are going along with the literature or you are against the literature, so you want to take that extract and put it in your manuscript to your text, and that's the way how you report and discuss your interviews as qualitative research. Keep your data in a safe place until your research is done. And here it is very important because sometimes you are researching some confidential, you are collecting some confidential information. For example, if you are, some of your participants, are criticizing their superiors, for example, they are easily identified. Why easily identified? Because the number of interviews normally is not that much high because of qualitative, research. So people, when they go through this, this data, they can tell who said this, and you don't want to make trouble to your participant as researcher. Plus, you may just, I'd like to make, something important here. Once you're, before analyzing your data, if you wish to validate your data, you can send the transcript, some of the transcript to your participant and let them confirm that whatever have been discussed in the interview is written in that transcript. And by doing this, you are validating your data and you are empowering your data more. So sometimes you need to destroy the data once you are done, if you think that you are dealing with sensitive issue. That's more or less about my my topic. If you feel that you want more clarification in a particular point, please do ask me. So thank you very much for attending the workshop. Dr. Rahman.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yaqoob. Now it's time for discussion. If you have any questions, please have a go, or you can write some questions in the chat box. Yes? Any questions? Let them think. Maybe if they have any questions, they can either post them in the chat box or feel free to ask the question to Dr. Yaqoob.
Just shoot, ask any question if you wish. If you feel anything is not clear, if you are conducting a research and you want me to clarify it more, because here more interactive is, I can say, more enriching.
Hello, Doctor.
Yes, Abdullah.
Yes. We said that at the beginning, one of the reasons that we need to use semi-structured interviews is that we are able to interpret the non-verbal cues. Now, when we interpret non-verbal cues, don't you think that will insert some biases because non-verbal cues are different from, for example, culture to another culture? So isn't this kind of will damage the validity or the validity of the data?
Excellent, Abdullah. Thank you very much. If you are entirely relying on these non-verbal cues, you are absolutely right. But here you are supporting only your interpretation to the discuss point, not entirely the non-verbal cue.
Yes, I see it. So we are only using it kind of to back up our main.
Exactly.
Yes, that's it.
Yes,
thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from participants or comments?
I guess there is one. Yeah, no.
Is there any comment in the chat box? Let me. No, this is Dr. Rinaldo.
Yeah.
He's saying Jazakallah khair, Doctor. See you, inshallah. Mabruk to you, Dr. Rahma, and the organizing committee got to leave for some work. Well, thank you, Dr. Rinaldo. We are so thrilled to see you. Thank you very much for attending the workshop. Any other questions from the attendants? I think it was clear to them. Thank you, Dr. Yaqoob, for a very informative workshop.
My pleasure, Doctor. My pleasure.
Okay. Thank you very much. The workshop is recorded. Yes, the workshop is recorded, and it might get uploaded in the channel of the university website. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance. And we thank you, Dr. Yaqoob, for a very informative workshop. Thank you all, and see you in next activities. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, Doctor.